Hello, it's Debbie here with another video tutorial. I know I just posted a new one yesterday on designing, but as I read my comments in my YouTube section, one of my visitors to my YouTube channel asked me if I can make a video about making the print and cut glass look like vases and jars. So I'm going to get started. First of all, before I do this, I'm going to pop over here and show you a couple of examples I've already done. This is just the glass jars, and here's one of them. And I actually had this in two separate pieces because this is the lid to my jar. And if I zoom in here, you'll see I added a little bit of details, the ribbing in the jar. I'm going to go back to fit to window for that. And we'll just pop the lid back on this jar here. And then I'm just going to group it, move it over to the side. And I decided to try something else, make this a little fun to play around with. So I took that same glass jar and put a little fish and some plants and some little decorations for a jar aquarium, I guess. And of course I got all of these, the plants and the goldfish, from Google Images again. I love that place. Okay, now I'm going to pop over here and show you, this is another little thing I did. I made a vase and just quickly made some flowers and popped them in there so I could show them to you. And on this one here, again, this is in two separate pieces, but I have them grouped. I'm going to ungroup them real quick and show you that I just made a lid for it. And then you notice when I put the lid back on, it darkens that area just a bit. And so these are the two projects I made practicing to do this video. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first thing you want to do is choose which shapes that you want. We're going to go ahead and probably make an elongated. Excuse me. Okay. And then you want to make the top rounded, kind of up like this. And I'm going to control click and move another one down there and control click, because I always like to have extras of everything in case I need them. Now this is just a basic one. I'm not going to really add any shape to it, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. Okay, I double clicked on it so it's in edit mode. If I click on this node here, you'll see that it highlights, makes this a darker red here. Let's go ahead and blow this image up. But if I click on this one down here and I go to make curve over here, you'll see it brings it out a bit. And then over here, it'll probably be the opposite. So I'm going to click at the top and select make curve. So that'll give us a little bit of a curvy shaped jar, and that also means that I probably need to adjust this just a tad bit to give it that kind of rounded bottom. And we can leave this top as it is, but I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this because I'll probably need it later on. I will need it later on. Okay, now that I've blown this up and I'm going to scoot this up so it lines more with the edges of the jar. Probably have to move that in just a tad. And I want to show you this up even closer, so I'm going to zoom in on this too. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we're going to go back to fit to window, just briefly. And I'm going to go ahead and select all of this and go down here to the bottom and click my weld button. Kind of looks like nothing right now, but in a little bit it will. Okay, remember these two shapes that I saved? This is where they're going to come into play. First of all, we're going to go in here and we're going to change this line color to a gray. And we're going to change this line color also to a gray. I'm going to place this back up here on the edge, change this line color to the same gray, and place it right here in the bottom of the glass looking area. So it's starting to come together a little bit more. Now another thing I want to do is I want to fill this. So we're going to go over to our fill tool. I'm going to fill it with a pale gray. That looks way too dark, and it is. So I'm going to go over here to Advanced Options, and I'm going to adjust the transparency. You can also go in and select a color, but I just like to go in and choose the transparency. And I may have to go back and make another adjustment on it. And we can do the same thing with that line. Go to Advanced Options, and we can make that line a little bit more transparent as well. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now our glass jar is starting to come together a little bit more. But as you know, when we look at glass, we see reflections and little beams of light. So we're going to go ahead and make some of those. Now, before I do this, I'm going to blow it up real close so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to grab my oval tool, my elliptical tool, I'm sorry. Need to say those things correctly. Okay, now this one's also going to need some adjusting, so what do? We do that double click to go to point editing mode, and we're going to stretch this out this way. Bring this curve in a little bit more to here. I'm going to grab this middle one, bring it in. I'm going to bring this little curve up to the rim. And with that selected, I'm going to go to line color, none, and a fill color of white. And that gives us a little highlight. Now I'm just going to go over here because I want to put another one right on the other side. So I'm going to my replicate window, and I'm going to mirror it left. Oops, I moved the wrong thing. We're just going to hit that undo button. Still my favorite feature because I have to use it a lot. Okay, and remember this little oval at the top? I'm just going to drag my cursor over it, and I think I'm going to darken that up a little bit. So we're going to go with a fill color there. But I'm going to also make that a little bit transparent. I don't want it too dark. And I'm going to go ahead and go to that line, and I'm going to take that line color off. Because see, as I did that, it brings up a little bit of light behind it, so it looks more like an edge of a real glass jar. And this one here, I'm going to control click and make another copy. And I'm going to do some editing. This is just kind of like how you would like your jar to be, but it gives you the basics of getting one made. And I'm bringing these little nodes just to make a very fine line, because I can go two ways. There's also highlights and shadows and everything. I can make this darker, or I can make it lighter. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go in and go to the fill it with some white. Bring it over here. And now I can make the line color white just to see what I get. Okay, and now I'm going to go back to the darker color, and I'm going to go back to a fill color to see if I want it to be a shadow or a highlight. I think I like it better as a shadow. So I'm going to leave that there. Now, we can also add a highlight to the middle here, and what I'm going to do is just draw a long rectangular shape from the top to the bottom of that darker line. Double click to get that point editing mode, and we're going to do a curve again, and then up here at the top we're going to click on this one and do a curve, And you can make more adjustments to this if you'd like. I'm going to bring this down a bit. And again, it's time for me to decide if I want this to be a shadow or a highlight. So I'm always going to go in first and make it a highlight and no line color. And then back over here to my fill tool, I'm going to go to advanced options and I'm going to reduce the transparency way down, almost to where you barely can see it. Or if you want to reduce it up, make it go up more. Oops, I gotta select it. Bring the transparency down so it's a heavier look, all the way down, and then we can always send that to the back. And then it would look more like a shadow. Got to get it kind of right in there. But I'm going to undo that and bring it back to the front. Lower that transparency. Way down. And I think I might even lower the transparency on this as well. Okay, that's starting to look pretty good. Now you can go back in and like I said, we can add more highlights. And remember how we can corner this here by hitting the corner. Make it a little bit more pointy. Go down here and do the same thing. Corner. Grab those little arms. Bring them up. Up again. And now we can fill these with a darker color. And line color to none. Pop it in over there somewhere. We'll go to advanced options on the fill. And lowering that transparency gives you the effects of some shadows and lights, and then sometimes you can also, I just go in and I make little dots because sometimes I just see tiny flecks of light and glass. So once again, we're just going to fill that with white. Maybe put it up here towards the edge where some light may be hitting it. I'm going to go to my line color and make it none. And you don't see a whole lot of it, but you do see, you'll see it more when it's printed. Okay, so we're going to go to fit to window so we can take a better look at our glass. And then I'm just going to group this all together. And then if you want to make a lid for it, you just kind of follow along the edges here. I'll zoom in so we can see it better. And again, I'm in edit mode. I'm going to drag this down here and drag this down here. I like being able to keep that curve. But I think I'd like this line here to be a little flatter. Now I'm going to make that flat too and see what I can do. And do everything to balance these out as well as I can. Okay, that looks pretty good, but now I want to add a little top to it. And you can make these as ornate as you'd like. So I'm just going to go right about here and center it up just by eyeballing it. Hold down my shift key to select the top shape we just made. And I'm going to weld these together. And then again, we're going to go in and do this line color. And then a fill color. And I think I'm just going to go over and use my tool to select this one. There we go. So once again, if we take this lid off, there we go. We can see the difference in the tones. And you'll want to do the same thing. Start going in here and highlighting and other stuff. And there's another little thing that I think would be fun. Let me see. We'll go to library, birds and butterflies. I'm just going to grab this one. Ooh, better fit that to window. These things come out huge. Okay, I'm just going to reduce this butterfly in size by dragging the corners. And I'm going to right click on it because I like to make them a compound path when I fill them. And I'm going to make the line color something didn't work out right here. We're going to undo that. Okay, we're going to start all over. I never know how these files are made since I don't make. These are from the studio store. Okay, first I'm going to ungroup them. Then I'm going to select all of it and make it a compound path. Now I'm going to try and see what I can do with that line color. Select it, go to line color. I'm going to make it a darker line color, and we're going to fill it with white. And we're going to go to advanced options on the line color and make it more transparent. And I'm just going to kind of turn it to the side. Now I'm going to zoom in so we can take a really close look at this jar we just created. And the reason why I wanted to do this with the butterfly, let's see if I can grab a hold of that again, is to make it look like it's etched. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to up that transparency again and see what it looks like with the line color being made white. So I'm going to go back to basic options. And make it transparent, maybe bring that transparency up just a bit so it looks more etched. And I'm going to check and make sure that the white shows really well. The transparency's down, so I'm going to increase the transparency on the white. Make it so it's more visible. Go back to the line color again because I just like to fiddle around and play with these things till I get the look I want. So possibly reduce that line right there at about 0.50. So I think that looks like it's etched in there a little bit. And another thing I want to show you to do, that you can do, say you want these up on top. So I'm going to just straighten this out right here. And I'm going to reduce the size again. Okay, and I want this to follow the angles of my lid, which I'm going to stretch this lid out just a bit. Okay. Make it a little smaller even yet. And because I'm making it smaller, I'll probably have to go back in and reduce the line size. So we're going to do that. And probably have to go back in and change the opacity on it because it's a little dark up there. Slide that transparency up again. Okay, if we just start lining these up around here in this area, we're going to take this shift and move these up so you can see it better. Okay, if we just start lining them up, it will look kind of strange. So what I would suggest doing if you want to put something on your lids that have a curved shape is you want to go right over here to this tool, and it shears things. So we're going to do a, let's see, a 15-degree shear. Oops, nope, I'm going to undo that. I want it the other way. I want a -15. Okay, and I'm going to control click. Oops. And duplicate this butterfly and put it right here. And then I'm going to select unshear. And I've got to turn that straight up again. And I'm just going to use my arrow keys to kind of center that. Okay, and instead of doing another shear, which I could do, I'm just going to go over here to my replicate window and choose mirror right. And then control click, because these would also be able to be seen in the background, right? So control click. To duplicate. Center it up to the window by selecting all of them. And I might even reduce the size of these because it just seemed a little too jumbled, and I wanted this to look like it's a etched piece of glass. And as you can see, I'm just fiddling around with everything. And I never really end up keeping exactly the same things that I started with. I would probably even try making this all white. So let's go to line color and select white and see what it looks like. This may be more appropriate for this top part. Now, I know that you can barely see it from there, but I'm going to zoom in so we can take a better look. And maybe I will just get rid of these because I don't think I like them. And it's very faint, but glass etching most of the time is very faint. And you can always go back in and play with that transparency if you want them to show a little bit more. Or we can even go in and change all the line and the fill color to this pale. Line, fill color, advanced, increase that transparency. We're just going to go ahead and make this no line color so I can see what it looks like. Advanced. And I actually think I like that better. It looks more edged to me. So I'm going to go fit to window. We're going to go over and do the same thing to this butterfly. We're going to go fill color, that darker gray. Line color, none. Back over to fill color. Advanced options and reduce the transparency. Now I'm going to group this all together and bring it down here to the top to make a lid for our jar. And I want to show you one other thing before I'm done here. I'm going to quickly ungroup this. Move this up just a tad bit. Okay, that piece there, I also want to reduce the transparency. I think it's still a little too dark. And you can make them look as perfect as you want. I'm just really particular. Okay. The lid, I'm going to move up here because I want these still to be two separate pieces. So I'm going to group these together just in case I just want a jar. Maybe fill it with some flowers. But whenever you go to do a print and cut of these, it's really key to make sure, and like I said, I didn't add any highlights or lowlights to the lid, which would make it look a lot better. And you can figure out where you want those, and you know how to make them. So selecting all those, I'm going to go to my cut style window right here. And as you can see, if I cut this the way it is right now, it would cut out all those little pieces, the butterflies and everything. So always make sure that you have it selected to cut edge. And now when it cuts, you'll just have the shape of this jar. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go over here real quick and show you one other thing. Okay, I'm going to ungroup this. Oops. And just select all of these flowers so we can pop them into our vase over there just to see how it looks. And right click and paste. I'm going to go ahead and group those. And now you can see it looks kind of weird. So what do I need to do? Again, it's really also key to know when you need to bring something forward and when you need to send it to the back. These need to be sent to the back so they look like they're in the vase. Oh, one other little thing that I wanted to do is I'm going to control click. I'm going to ungroup this. And delete all of these little highlights and butterfly out of it. Move this lid out of the way. And just take this shape right here. because I want to make it look like it has a little water in it. So to make the curve shape, you know what, I'm going to undo this because I want to do it a different way. Going to make sure that this oval is covering this entire section. Oops, bring it back up again. Designing can be time consuming, but once you learn some little tips and tricks and everything else, it just can be so much fun. And I want everyone that owns the silhouette cutting machines and the studio software to have as much fun as I do designing. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, now I'm going to select this object. Oops, I hit the cap locks instead of the shift. And this one here, I'm going to go to modify, and I'm going to go to divide. And on this here, I'm going to select no line color. Oops, somehow it just, well, it won't let me go on until I do something else out there. We'll select that line color. Now I want no line color. I'm just going to delete the rest of these out of here. And I can always go in and edit this to bring that water level up. I'm not going to do it perfect because I know you don't have a whole lot of time to spend watching these video tutorials and you want to get busy making something. I am going to make these flowers taller because that just kind of drives me crazy. Make them taller and wider. I'm going to select that water again, and we're going to send it to the back to see what it looks like. You still have those highlights and everything. And then this one here, this highlight in the center, I'm going to ungroup this real quick. And I'm going to remove that because it just doesn't look right there with the flowers in it. So I'd probably add some more highlights out through here. And now that we've sent that, we can also change the opacity. We can change the color to this bluish color. Go to advanced option. Oops, we don't want line color, none. We can change the color to this kind of bluish color. And then we can go to advanced options and we can lower that transparency even more. And there you go. There's a glass jar. Let me fix this up just a bit because I still don't have that lined up, do I? I want it to look good. So there you go. You have your glass jar and you have a nice shape. And you can just get in there and play with these and try more things and come up with all sorts of designs. Like I said, I made the little fish in a jar. And we made a jar with some kind of pink stuff in it, a lid to go separately with the jar. Over here, a vase of flowers and a candy jar. And if I were going to do this for, you know, a print and cut, I would also go in here and either add highlights to the candies or just use a white gel pen and just mark some little highlights in them. Okay, I hope this has helped explain how to make some things look like glass using your studio software, and I hope you had lots of fun learning. And like I said, if you ever have any suggestions on something that you would like me to show you how to do in studio, I always try to get them made. So have a great day. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye.